just as we're about to leave. Able to drive ourselves to school, and thankfully, we didn't. There are endless every single day, at every single break and lunch, to the point where we were basically in her office more than she was. We would squish 5 or 6 people onto a 2-person couch and have people sit on the floor cushions. I'm sure you can imagine she loved that. Sorry about that, Miss Greenheck. You can have your office back now. Or I remember the beautiful sunny days when we would truck up to the field and just lay on our backs in the grass and yell about life. Again, I'm sure you can imagine the neighbors loved that. Then, in a blink of an eye, we are now going off and discovering how our talents and passions can make a difference in the world. To the class of 2021, I say we've made it. After countless hours of studying, crying, laughing, yelling, or my personal favorite, a combination of doing all the above at the same time, we finally made it to our high school graduation. I know that the skills we've acquired here at Forest Ridge will take us very far into the future. Your determination, your compassion, your diligence, your patience is what brought you here today. Although this important day is a huge milestone in our 6,570 days of living, yes, I calculated how many days we've been alive, it's also just one day of many. It is part of a larger journey known as life. While our graduation ceremony signifies the closing to our high school career, it's just the beginning to our future. When we're well into our lives, working on Wall Street or the White House or opening up an art gallery or bakery, I urge you all to take a step back and slow down the time. Don't go and take a math test per se, unless you want to, but what I mean is go and do something that makes you happy, or something that makes your heart squirm a little, or something that gives you goosebumps. As Avicii once said, one day you'll leave this world behind, so live a life you will remember. I'm going to remember each and every one of you, and your pets as well, and I hope you remember me too, as the girl who put sriracha on everything she eats. When I'm old with gray hair, I'll be showing everyone I know my Forest Ridge yearbooks and talking their ear off about my Forest Ridge memories. To the Forest Ridge families and teachers, we wouldn't have been able to do it without you. You have made a profound impact on how we became the women we are today. We deeply appreciate your patience, your time, your compassion, and your ability to deal with 28 crazy enthusiastic girls. Because of you all, we have learned what it means to be passionate, inquisitive, and engaged students. Thank you for believing in us, for always being here for us, and for supporting us. It really does mean the world. In closing, congratulations, fellow graduates. I'm so incredibly proud of us. As we go off, I would like you all to follow your dreams and pursue what's important to you. And no matter what, go at it with an open heart and a kind soul, as always. I wish you all the best, and you all have a very special place in my heart. Thank you.
I'd say the class of 2021 made an excellent choice in their salutatorian. Thank you, Lucy. Intellectual excellence is the hallmark of a Sacred Heart education, and naming the young woman in the class with the highest cumulative grade point average as the class valedictorian is another long-standing graduation tradition. This year, I'm proud to call forward a young woman whose hard work and diligence have been notable since her arrival at Forest Ridge in the 5th grade. It is a privilege for me to introduce our valedictorian of the class of 2021, Catherine Wojniaka-Bogle.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here. I feel incredibly lucky to be with you all in person, and I'd like to extend a special welcome to our classmates, friends, and family joining us virtually. Thank you to our teachers for being here today, and more importantly, for being there over the last 4 years. I'd also like to thank our families for their love and support. Today, I have the privilege of speaking to you about my friends, the class of 2021. I think we're an unusual grade. For one, we're small, just 28 people, meaning we are terrifyingly outnumbered by the freshmen. Not to mention that we spent nearly a quarter of high school at home. And yet, despite, or perhaps because of, our small size and our struggles, we are incredibly close. As we gather together one final time, I'm reminded of a moment from the beginning of our high school journey. This moment, from our 9th grade English class, truly embodies who I believe are my classmates to be. It was late spring on a rainy day much like this one, and the class of 2021 was utterly exhausted. When our teacher, Miss Aesop, looked into our tired faces and our raccoon-ringed eyes, she set down her copy of Antigone and instead passed out neon pink sticky notes. Then she told us to write a personal affirmation for the person to our left. To tell you the truth, I don't remember who wrote my affirmation that day, but I do remember what it said. The person to my right wrote that I was a trustworthy friend and that the shoes I wore were, quote, pretty fire. And I remember how it made me feel. On a day when I was beyond burnt out, those words made me feel cared for. Throughout 4 years of high school, that little pink note stuck in the back of my mind. That affirmation, the knowledge that someone felt that I was a trustworthy friend with cool shoes, helped keep me grounded through personal loss, failed tests, and 15 months of a pandemic. It became a tangible symbol of the love that my class had for me and the love and friendship that I had for them. In that spirit, I would like to offer one final affirmation to the class of 2021. Each of you holds a deeply special place in my heart. There's so much I look up to in every one of you. I hope to have Casey's loving heart and to be a loyal friend like Mehek. I hope I'll be a loving and gracious leader like Lucy Song and Molly. I dream of making the world a better place, just like Ivana, Annie, and Tanisha do now. I aspire to Celine and Bella's work ethic and wit, and to the visionary creativity of Macy and Amy. I want to seek justice like Nora, Julie, and Sarah Jane do. I want to act fearlessly with integrity like Parker. I hope to know myself like Cindy and Grace, and to live with quiet confidence like Irma and Shella. I treasure the way Alice and Samaria make everyone around them feel valued, and Eula's gentle warmth. I hope to have Candy's grace under pressure and Mary's bright optimism. I strive towards Julia's insightful nature and Irene's poise and adaptability. And most of all, I hope that you remember this affirmation during your times of doubt. In the words of Mary Oliver, I tell you this to break your heart, by which I mean only that it break open and never close again to the rest of the world. I hope you'll remember this affirmation when you need it, and that you'll open your hearts to the world just as you have to me. And I'm confident that when the people around you need it, You'll pass them a neon pink sticky note with words of love. To the class of 2021, I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. That was amazing. Today, I want to introduce our graduation speaker, who has the unenviable task of following Lucy and Catherine. Dr. Ann Ojiman Jarrus, class of 1990, is the co-founder and chief executive officer for Discovery Health MD, a medical services company for the commercial maritime industry. Started in 2016 with her late husband, Dr. Ray Jarrus, Discovery Health MD has grown from 8 employees to over 200 in the past year. They have provided COVID testing for tens of thousands of mariners, employees, and travelers, and are running vaccination clinics in Washington and Alaska, including those we have hosted at Forest Ridge. Trained as a board-certified emergency medicine physician, Ann is past president of Eastside Emergency Physicians and has practiced for over 15 years in urban and rural settings. After graduating from Forest Ridge in 1990, she received her undergraduate degree at Dartmouth College, attended medical school at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, and completed her emergency medicine residency at the University of Arizona. She also received her Master's of Business Administration at Seattle University. Dr. Jarrus has sailed as expedition team physician to Antarctica with Quark Expeditions and is a member of the Society of Women Geographers. She is medical director for Pacific Maritime Institute, director of health and safety for Washington Maritime Blue, and a member of the USCG National Merchant Mariner Medical Advisory Committee. We are delighted to have her with us today, and I ask you to give a warm welcome to our graduation speaker, Dr. Ann Jarrus.
Thank you very much, and those will be difficult speeches to follow. Good evening and congratulations to all the graduates here today. My name is Ann Ojiman Jarrus, and I was a lifer at Forest Ridge, graduating in 1990. When I graduated, I wanted to change the world, just like you do. It was this year, though, that what I learned at Forest Ridge changed my world and the world of a lot of other people. And that's what I'm here to tell you about, because you will also change the world. A few months ago, Casey Hall O'Rourke, my former classmate, called me out of the blue. She had heard that my company was giving COVID vaccines to the seafood industry at a time when vaccines were difficult to access. So she called to see if we could provide vaccines to the Forest Ridge community. I hadn't spoken with Casey in years, but that didn't matter, because when Forest Ridge calls you, even 30 years later, you answer that call. Don't forget that. In coordination with the Department of Health, we put together vaccine clinics at Forest Ridge. We provided over 1,000 shots to faculty, students, families, alumni, and community members on campus. I was glad to help, but honestly, that was a picnic to what I had been doing. So let me start back at the beginning. After 7 years at Forest Ridge, I attended college at Dartmouth and medical school at the Mayo Clinic. I completed an emergency medicine residency in Arizona and practiced emergency medicine for 15 years. But I found myself frustrated with the healthcare system and dissatisfied with what I was doing. I wanted to see what I could accomplish outside the traditional healthcare system, so I decided to pursue a Master's of Business Administration, and that's when I met my husband, who worked supporting the fishing fleets. We decided to start a company together providing medical support to the maritime industry. When we launched Discovery Health MD, I had had a successful medical career, but I still felt I wasn't doing what made me happy. However, the first time I stepped on board a giant factory trawler ship that fished in the Bering Sea, all of the dots, however scattered and seemingly unrelated, finally connected. All my education, training, and interests finally came together, and I was happy where I had landed. I was reminded of the famous Steve Jobs quote, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. You have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in the future." Not long after I completed my MBA and we opened our company, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He passed away a year and a half later in 2018, leaving me with a company not yet breaking even and about 6 people depending on me to pay their salaries. I decided to continue and gave myself another year or 2 to see what happened. By 2020, when the pandemic hit, we had 8 employees and we were starting to make a small profit. And then everything broke loose. In January 2020, we received a call from one of our clients who operated oil tankers that called on Chinese ports. They wanted to know how to respond to this new virus that they were hearing about. Not long after that, we began working with the Alaska and Pacific Northwest seafood industry to respond to the COVID threat. We all thought it would be over in about 6 weeks and that this was merely a formality. Were we ever wrong? In March 2020, it was clear that we were all in big trouble. The seafood industry sends tens of thousands of workers from around the world up to Alaska every year. But that state and all of its rural communities still remember the 1918 influenza pandemic that decimated its native population. They were not about to allow the seafood industry to wipe out the local populations again. We all needed a commercial fishing season because that was our food supply and our economy, but not at the cost of their lives and the seafood workers' lives. We needed a plan to help them. Normally, the medical community and fishing industry would turn to the federal government for direction. But by then, the CDC had made critical errors on testing, and the FDA was allowing unapproved, faulty tests to enter the market. So we had no real guidance. Testing supplies and personal protective equipment were impossible to obtain. Alaska was going to shut down the season, and people would suffer if we couldn't come up with a plan to mitigate the spread of disease. So the stakes were high. In order to be allowed to send these workers to Alaska, the seafood industry needed a large-scale program to test people without symptoms. But this was something that had not yet been done anywhere. Not only had this never been done before, but the CDC and Department of Health were also telling us not to test asymptomatic people. The World Health Organization was denying the disease was transmitted in air. Neither the scientific community nor our own government could give us good official guidance on what we were supposed to be doing, and some very powerful people were telling me to stand down. But I also could see what was the right thing to do. Lives and economies depended on doing it correctly. In order to succeed, I was going to have to commit our entire company to building this program, and it would require more time and money than we had. I also knew it would upset a lot of people. I had to decide whether to pursue this or to step back and wait for someone else to take it on. Could our little company actually ensure the safety of this many people with no real help? We were a young company that was highly flexible. We had close connections with the University of Washington. We had access to lab testing and services that no one else did, but would this be enough? One morning around 3 a.m., I woke up and a phrase popped into my head: a social awareness that impels to action. This phrase stuck with me. I couldn't really remember where I had heard it, where it came from, but I felt that it was important. I called up my chief operating officer and told her that we were going to build the first COVID testing program for workers. I told her that I didn't want to do it, that it was going to take everything we had and we may not survive it, but that no one else was going to be able to do it and it was important. She didn't hesitate. She understood why we had to step up and she was ready for action. We used every connection we had and we maxed out every credit card we had. We built a testing program, getting supplies wherever we could. We didn't know if we were going to be able to get nasal swabs until the night before our first major testing day, when one of our contacts delivered them to my house at 10 p.m. Through our program, we were one of the first in the world to document asymptomatic infections, to document asymptomatic transmission, to show that not everyone developed antibodies, and to watch those antibodies disappear a few months later. What we found completely turned the understanding of this disease on its head, and we were able to act. We enabled the fishing industry to successfully operate in Washington and Alaska during the 2020 season. There was not a single case of disease transmission from industry to the local rural Alaskan population. And a year later, here we are. We went from 8 employees and barely breaking even to over 200 employees and revenue in the millions. It took everything we had. We weren't always successful, we upset a lot of people, but we protected the food supply, we protected the local Alaskan communities, we saved people's jobs in the economy. Why was I ready when I was called? And where did I find the courage? A social awareness that impels to action. I'm certain all of you recognize the phrase and can tell me exactly where it comes from. It is one of the goals of a Sacred Heart education. And I'm sure you all also can tell me the story of St. Madeleine Sophie Barrett, right? Well, I had to look it up. Imagine this. She grew up in France in the 1790s during the French Revolution. Can you picture the chaos and social upheaval that she lived through? Leaders were being overthrown and executed, religious institutions were actively disbanded, and women's rights, they were not even a thing. During this time, Madeleine Sophie Barrett was living in rural France. Her brother, who was studying to be a priest, had to leave Paris and was in hiding at the family home. He taught her languages, history, science, and math, so she received an education not available to women at the time, and she used it. In 1800, she went to Paris at the age of 21, and she and 3 other women founded the Society of the Sacred Heart and opened the first school for girls in 1801. Can you picture yourself doing this? Can you imagine being embroiled in the social upheaval and chaos of post-revolutionary France, when people were beheaded for opposing the new state, when religion was being actively expunged, when women in Catholicism were openly discriminating against, and then deciding that that seemed like a good time to start a new religious order and open a school for girls? Just surviving that would have been an accomplishment. Well, she did more than survive. During her lifetime, she built the Society of Sacred Heart into a global network of schools to educate women. Her leadership and resilience created what we have now. And where did she get the courage? I thought about this a lot last spring. I thought about Madeleine Sophie Barrett challenging the status quo in post-revolutionary France, risking the guillotine for her unwavering belief in education of women. I think of remarkable women who persevered through great hardships in tumultuous times and were successful because of their foundation of education, because of their commitment to social awareness and action. When I graduated from Forest Ridge and left for a male-dominated East Coast Ivy League school, I felt like I had missed a very important memo. Coming from 7 years of an education here where much was expected of me, I was very surprised to realize that this is not the norm for women in mainstream society. Throughout my later in education and career, it has always struck me how little was being demanded or expected of me, just because I'm female. That's why my Forest Ridge education has been so important to me. Here, we are expected to learn and contribute, to grow and progress, and to develop a social awareness that impels to action. My company had a choice in April 2020. We did not have to make the leap to save lives and livelihoods. We could have held back and waited for someone else or for the government to step up. But I had internalized the lesson that much is expected of me. I had experienced what it is like to be valued for my potential. I do not believe I would have been able to build the company we are today if I had not been educated in a system that placed these high expectations on me and provided me the tools to act on them. And this is the most important point of this talk. As you go forward, you will face discrimination and discouragement. Sometimes it will be overt, but usually it will be subtle. Your opinions will be devalued, your accomplishments will go unnoticed, and opportunities will be denied to you. But you have a secret weapon. You have experienced a Sacred Heart education. You know what it feels like to be valued for what you have to offer for others and for what you are capable of doing. Other people may not think you have the courage, but we know that you do. Most importantly, you are expected to use that education and awareness. You are expected to step up and serve when doing so may be unpopular or frightening. You have the privilege of knowing that you matter. You know you have the ability and the resources to make the world a better place. Think about St. Madeleine Sophie in post-revolutionary France, having the courage and strength to start a school for girls when faced with the complete upheaval of her country. Think about the legacy she has left us all. Now use your social awareness to be impelled to action. Congratulations on your graduation. We are all looking forward to hearing from each one of you 30 years from now. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm the one having trouble with the mask. Thank you so much, Anne. What an inspirational story and what a tremendous accomplishment. I'm overwhelmed, really, to think about the courage that must have taken. And I really appreciate you sharing it with us today. Before we get to the main event of diplomas today, we have a tradition at Forest Ridge of recognizing students like Anne who are lifers, members of our senior class who have attended Forest Ridge since the 5th grade. We traditionally recognize these students prior to graduation, but since many of our events this year have been virtual, we want to take the opportunity to introduce them today. Our lifers are presented with the Très Bien Award, a way to say, well done. I'd like to ask the following 4 students to come up to receive this keepsake of their time at Forest Ridge. Molly Martinez, Mehek Sharma, Lucy Song, and Catherine Wajanaya-Kabogo. Congratulations to all of you. And now the speeches are complete and the moment is upon us. The seniors have each crafted a few words that will be shared as they come forward to receive their diplomas from our head of school, Mary Rose Guerin, and our Board of Trustees Chair, Anne Romano-Sarowitz, class of 71. Reading the names and students' messages will be Ms. Courtney Caldwell and Ms. Inga Asa. As each graduate's message is read, we ask that you hold your applause and enthusiasm until that member of the class has received her diploma so we can hear their words.
Samaria Elizabeth Kane. Samaria is super sad that her time at the Ridge is coming to an end. Throughout the last 4 years at FR, she has made lifelong friendships and memories that she is extremely grateful for. Although she will not miss the plaid green skirts and white polo, she will dearly miss all the quality time she spent with friends in the lounge, Chef Ron's cookies, and sunny days on the soccer field. Samaria wants to first thank her family for being extremely supportive throughout the 4 years, her friends for motivating and pushing her to be her best self, her teachers for being patient and always willing to help her. Samaria would also like to give a special thanks to Ms. Greenheck for all the help and support she provided, and the time and energy that she put in to make sure that she had the best time at Forest Ridge. Next year, Samaria is excited to be attending Western Washington University, where she plans to study psychology. She is excited to experience life in Bellingham, meet new people, and start a new chapter in her life.
Elizabeth Corin. Annie entered Forest Ridge in 6th grade as an awkward middle schooler and is graduating today with slightly less awkwardness, but a lot more self-acceptance. Turning homework in on time has been a battle for her, particularly during this year, but throughout the year she has learned a lot, both on campus and off. Even though her favorite classes are subjects relating to humanities, her main hobbies include drawing comics and video games. She is planning to study pre-veterinary medicine at Washington State University and is looking forward to spending a lot of time with animals, no matter what job she gets.
Sarah Jane Daly. While it's been one heck of a year and high school experience overall, Sarah Jane is proud to say it was by no means a lost one. She made lots of art, took many midnight dance breaks, and spent her free time volunteering at the Lumen Field Vaccine Clinic, where she is famous for making a 22-layer tall pyramid with 253 supply bins. She is especially thankful for her wonderful friends and classmates that worked to make this the best odd year ever. This fall, she plans to attend George Washington University in DC. She's too interested in everything to pick a major yet, but plans on minoring in religious studies.
Dong Ying Chi, in absentia. The Forest Ridge community is happy for the 4 years Candy shared with us as a student on the Ridge, and we are excited to see what her future holds.
Isabella Ruth Marie Frederick. Isabella is so glad to be graduating. She will always look back fondly on her high school experience, even if these last 2 years looked a lot different than what she would have imagined. She is proud of all her hard work and would like to thank her teachers for working around her sometimes crazy archery schedule. Isabella is excited to go to Seattle University next year, where she will study creative writing, yay, and continue to compete in archery.
Julie Ching Ching Gillis. Julie is excited to graduate Forest Ridge after 7 years, since 6th grade. She will be attending Pratt Institute and majoring in communications design, illustration, unless she changes her mind after freshman year. We'll see. She will miss all her friends, and she will miss all the unique features of Forest Ridge, like the uniform that's rumored to be fireproof and masks. She is grateful to all her friends and family for supporting her through all 7 years. She is also grateful for her dad sometimes showing up to school events, even if there isn't any food offered.
Parker Jane Kimmerly. Parker is so excited to be graduating with all her friends. She's still amazed at how fast the year flew by. She's thankful for her family and friends who kept her going when she thought her essays would never reach the word count, and for her teachers who reassured her that she would still get a job if she turned in her assignment late. She'll miss riding down to Factoria with her friends to get boba in between classes, or spending 15 minutes trying to find the DoorDash driver who's lost somewhere on campus. As much as she'll miss her classmates at Forest Ridge, Parker is eager to attend the University of Portland this fall to pursue her passion for medicine in the form of a nursing degree and a very few hours of sleep a night. She can't wait to watch her friends around her grow and become the strong women they're destined to be.
Li Lu Zhan. Shella has been in absentia. Shella has been a student at Forest Ridge since the 9th grade. We are grateful to have shared these years with her and wish her the very best in future endeavors.
Lee Chao Chu, in absentia. Julia has been a Raven since 8th grade, and we are excited to see her graduate today. The Forest Ridge community wishes that she will embark on all that she will embark on will bring her joy and adventure.
Molly Catherine Martinez. Molly is so grateful to have spent 8 years at Forest Ridge with her classmates and teachers. She's excited for what lies ahead and knows that the friendships she has made will stay with her throughout college. She will miss hanging out with her classmates in the lounges, always having a pre-planned outfit in her trusty plaid skirt, and not going into classes on Mondays and Wednesdays until 12:30 p.m. Her Sacred Heart education has prepared her well for what lies beyond. Molly wants to thank her family, friends, and teachers for always pushing her to be her best. She will be studying political science at Gonzaga University, shout out my heck, in the fall, and cannot wait to utilize the skills that Forest Ridge has taught her to make new friends, create new experiences, and always face the world head on.
Ivana Marie Morales Mercado. Ivana is extremely grateful to graduate alongside such caring classmates and friends. Although she left Forest Ridge in 9th grade, she came back in her second semester of 10th grade because the collaborative and welcoming community was unmatched. It was truly her community at Forest Ridge that she could count on to support her through her trials and triumphs. Ivana will attend Claremont McKenna College in the fall. She will study the environment, economics, and politics major with a sequence in ethics or financial economics. In the future, she plans on becoming an eco-entrepreneur and establishing her own company that provides atmospheric water generators. Ivana would like to thank her parents for all the sacrifices they made to support her academic pursuits. And of course, thank you to Coco, her dog, for waking her up in the mornings to hopefully arrive to school on time.
Nguyen Thi Ngoc An, in absentia. Cindy has been a valued member of the Forest Ridge community for 4 years, and we wish her all the very best in the future.
Casey Nguyen, in absentia. Casey cannot believe it's already been 2 years since she joined Forest Ridge. It has been the best 2 years of her life. She's learned a lot and really enjoyed being a student, as well as getting the experience of doing volunteer jobs. Casey is so grateful to all the wonderful teachers who always care about their students' success. She is glad she chose to attend Forest Ridge, as it's made her the person she is today. Thank you.
Irma Rodriguez Solis. Even with her worst moments of procrastination, Irma did it. She is graduating and moving toward a better version of herself she has yet to imagine. She has a never-ending kaleidoscope she has yet to explore. Baby steps. Irma will be attending Seattle University and hopes to major in electrical and computer engineering. Irma would like to thank her family for doing their very best to support in every which way, but she would especially thank herself for putting the time, effort, persevering through mental and emotional breakdowns, early morning study, late night studying, but yet still find the time to binge watch all of the Harry Potter movies, The Office for the 4th time, etc. Woo!
Xiao Ya, in absentia. Alice is excited to enroll in Boston University this fall as a freshman. Some of her favorite memories in Forest Ridge are playing ping pong outside the Commons, watching films in the dorm, and receiving Christmas cards from her teachers and friends. She will continue her journey with everything she's learned from Forest Ridge.
Mahek Sharma. Mahek is extremely sad her 8 years at Forest Ridge are coming to a close. Throughout these 8 years, Mahek has made meaningful connections with her teachers and friends that she knows she will cherish forever. Mahek admits that she will miss the green plaid skirts, white pillows, and even the green knee-highs. She will also miss spending quality time in the lounges and laying on the grass with her friends on those special sunny days. She especially wants to thank her family for being so supportive, especially during the college decision process, and her friends who are always having her back. Next year, Mahek is going to Gonzaga University, shout out Mom, to major in biology while following the pre-dental track. She is excited to meet new people at GU, experience the Spokane snow, and start a new and exciting chapter of her life.
Tanisha Sinha. Tanisha has been a Forest Ridge student since her freshman year and has truly enjoyed her experiences and values her learning over the past 4 years. Her time at Forest Ridge has impacted her tremendously in shaping her character and confidence. Tanisha has enjoyed being a student athlete, playing tennis, volleyball, and basketball. She is the only student in her grade to play all 3 sports each year for the last 4 years. Tanisha loves singing and dancing, and in her free time enjoys sketching, crocheting, and binge-watching Grey's Anatomy. Her favorite subjects are biology and business. Like most teenagers, she values her me time and her sleep. Tanisha has also been very involved in leadership clubs. In the past few years, she's worked extensively to understand different leadership personalities, human behavior, and how people interpret information and respond to it. Tanisha is excited to join Loyola University in Chicago this fall, where she will live out a lifetime aspiration of studying medicine on a pre-med track with a biology major, eventually specializing in pediatric cardiothoracic surgery.
Lucy Song. After 8 years at Forest Ridge, Lucy is thrilled to be graduating alongside her classmates. She is going to miss all of the memories she has created with her FR sisters, from running frantically around campus playing cash to blasting music and chilling in the lounge. Among many other memories, she will also miss the intense shouting in the locker rooms before volleyball games, as well as working with ASB. She would sincerely like to thank her family, friends, and teachers for helping her complete this milestone. In the fall, she will be experiencing the frosty winters of the East Coast at Drexel University to study health sciences on the physician assistant track. She is very excited to meet new people and embark on a new journey.
Sue Hussein, in absentia. There are no words that can express her gratitude to Forest Ridge, where she's arguably had the most rewarding and fun 5 years of her life. At Forest Ridge, Celine made incredible friendships during their freezing outward bound trip, and during train rides with Ms. Hume in Berlin, during 10th grade class trip, and during junior year English seminars on absurdism. Celine is going to Johns Hopkins University next year with the uncountable memories from Forest Ridge that she will continue to cherish.
Tong Ya Ro, in absentia. I've never felt especially lucky to be a part of the Forest Ridge community until realizing that the time of being a student here will never return. At school, I enjoyed the food-seeking journey in the commons during tutorial time when complaining with my friends about having another Taco Tuesday. I cherished every content leadership presentation in Miss Knight's class while worrying about an upcoming math test. Looking back to these experiences, whether they left a sweet or bitter memory, I find that there was never a single moment that I felt alone in the 2.5 years of being on campus. On every celebration or struggle, the company from my Forest Ridge sisters was never absent. I am more lucky than to be in this close-knit community, as it allows me to establish a lifelong sisterhood. Individuals I met at Forest Ridge are my best friends, and always will be because of our unique, shared Forest Ridge experiences. Of course, I am also prepared for my next journey, being a student at the University of California, Los Angeles. And the next year, I envision myself trying different things, engaging in a romantic relationship, while continuing to revisit memories of Forest Ridge.
Eleanor Emanuelle Thompson. Nora is so grateful to be graduating this year with all her peers. She would like to thank her parents for always patiently listening to her practice the many presentations over the years, her sister for going through countless Spanish flashcards to prepare her for vocabulary quizzes, and her friends for walking with her to Copper Jesus and back in times of academic crises. She'll miss the pointless trips to the Commons, the communal stress during the last few weeks before summer, and commiserating about the unfortunate pairing of cold weather and plaid skirts. Nora has decided to take a gap year to coach circus, trek through Morocco, and sail among the islands of Spain before she attends Oberlin College in the fall of 2022, where she hopes to major in creative writing. Woo! Shout out to Miss Asa. Thanks, Nora. And psychology. Shout out to Miss Knight.
Eula von der Heit. Eula started her journey at Forest Ridge during the English Immersion Summer Program in 2017 and still reminisces about those magical first days in the country with her sister. Her favorite Forest Ridge memories are being part of the Raven tennis team, working in the fridge, especially during German cuisine days, and hanging out in Miss Greenheck's office with her friends. She looks forward to attending UCLA in the fall to study psychobiology. Eula would like to thank all of her amazing teachers who have continued to support and motivate her as she was attending classes from Germany and Florida. Lastly, she would like to thank her parents and her sister Felicity for always believing in her and for their constant love.
U Lan An Tai. Irene has been a student at Forest Ridge for 4 years, and we are all richer for it. We wish Irene all the very best in the future. In absentia.
Catherine Rose Wojnajka Bogle. Catherine is excited and a little surprised to be graduating today after 8 years at Forest Ridge and 15 months of a pandemic. She is so proud of all of her incredible friends in the class of 2021 and wants to thank her wonderful family and teachers for their support. Some of her favorite memories from high school include choir trips, theater, and sunny days on the lawn at Forest Ridge. Catherine will start the next chapter of her life at Georgetown University in the fall, where she hopes to study government and data science.
Macy Pearl Zaringly. Macy has spent the past 4 years at Forest Ridge discovering and rediscovering the importance of her mind and her voice. She finds her education unique in that she learned to value herself both as an individual and as a member of a collective which seeks to empower all. She especially loved taking her Power of Narrative class senior year, where she explored the interrelation of literature and social issues through deep and exciting conversations with her peers and teachers. Next year, she eagerly awaits the adventures she will have around Chicago while attending SAIC, as well as opportunities to train her artistic craft and nurture her creativity. As she enters the next stage of her life, she holds all things Forest Ridge has taught her close in her mind so that she may enter adulthood with courage, an open heart, and as much grace as she can muster. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all of our graduates.
I love that applause because Psalm 118, verse 24 reminds us, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." And how fitting that feels for today. This day is the culmination of years and years of work, hours and hours of reading and writing, calculating, investigating, sharing, and caring. Years filled with challenges, triumphs, losses, laughter, friendships, growth, and prayer. And now, these years have come to a beautiful, joyful end, and you are all off to new adventures. So, as is our tradition, it is now time to bless you all one last time. Community, please join me in extending your hands towards our graduates as we pray. God of every good gift, bless these graduates and fill them with the spirit of your love. As they go out to make the world a better place, may they continue to share their personal and active faith in you, their God. May they continue to respect intellectual values and share the fruit of their knowledge. May their commitment to social awareness and action make a positive difference in our world. May they build community wherever they go and remain forever the important part of our community that they are today. And may they trust in their own personal journey of growth as they continue to discover exactly who you have designed them to be. Protect and guide these graduates as through their lives they discover and reveal your love in our world. We ask this in the name of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, who binds us together with one another and with you. Amen. I'd now like to ask Nora Thompson to come up and give the class of 2021 their final directive.
a well-deserved standing ovation. Thank you so much for sharing your lives with us, graduates. Thank you so much to your families for sharing you with us and trusting us with you. It's been our honor to share your high school experience with you. We are so proud of you, and we look forward to hearing from you as you go off, not just for next year, but for all that lies ahead for you. I wonder which one of you will be speaking at graduation at Forest Ridge 20 years from now or 30 years from now. You always have a home at Forest Ridge. And just as you talk about the mark that Forest Ridge has left on you, know that you have left a mark on us. You have taught us so much. You have changed the way we think about things. You have shown us what community builds, and we thank you for that always. So I congratulate you on behalf of the whole community. And after our final procession, I ask your families to meet you outside the main church doors to continue with your celebration. Thank you, and congratulations to you all.